team member created the PHP New York soon after. So our event is organized, which is a group that we formed this year in January, so very new. Well, we want to connect the Japanese PHP and Laravel community with the international community. And like all meetups, it's about learning, sharing, and connecting with our like-minded people. And the last one is an important one because next year we want to have an official Laravel live on in Japan. There is quite some interest also from the core team, so we will work hard to make this happen. So, as I mentioned, we are listed on PHP website. Official, as you can see, Tokyo is now listed as an official member. So, yeah, if you haven't already joined us on Twitter, Discord, Compass, whatever you prefer. You will find all of those things in the slides as well. So, this is also important. Please share your experience. Take pictures, take videos, share it on social media, use these hashtags. Also, if you have questions to the speakers, you can also use Twitter, for example, like add these hashtags or tag the speaker directly. They must probably have their handles in the slides as well. But it's important that we create a little bit of buzz so the communities outside of Japan also see that we are doing something here. Then today, well, we are past the reception of the opening right now. Before we go into the talks, we will have a brief introduction from BEENOS, which was providing this space for us. So we'll take them on stage for a few minutes, and then we will tell them the talk. Unfortunately, we had to miss the one of the talks because the speaker talks. So yeah.
Sorry.
Give the stage to BEENOS.
Please be careful for the live message. Recommend on me. You can put some speaker if you want.
BEENOS 株式会社の人事戦略室として人事の仕事、採用の仕事っていうのをやっている石山と申します。本日はなかなかちょっと見えない光景ですごくワクワクしております。で、皆様にですね、優秀なエンジニアを採用しようというところで、私は日々仕事をして続けますので、ちょっとそんなことが伝わるように人事、はい、我々のですね、BEENOSがやっている仕事、どういう仕事かっていうところをまずお話をさせていただきたいんですが、QEC という EC サイトのプロダクトを運営する会社になります。もちろん事業会社はいろんな仕事、いろんなプロダクトがあるんですけれども、一番の主力の事業、この教育周りのプロダクトになっています。それまでの会議、じゃあ、なんでこのQEC っているのっていうところからお話をしたいんですが、もともとですね、創業はBEENOSっていう名前じゃなかったんですけれども、もともとEC の普通のプラットフォーム、さんみたいな、ああいうプラットフォームが始まった会社になります。ただ、日本の課題っていうのに着目して、何か私たちにできることはないか、我々にできることがもしかしたらあるんじゃないかっていう使命感を、ミッションを掲げてですね、こういう に取り組んでいます。で、最初のこのページなんですけれども、皆さん、外国からお越しの方もやっぱり多いと思いますが、日本についてどんなイメージを持たれているのかなって、個人的にはすごく気になっていて、どういうふうに見えているのかな。日本人として、日本でずっと住んできた私として、ちょっと今日お話しできることをお話ししたいと思います。で、最初、日本はですね、先進国で人口が急激に減っている国です。もちろん皆さんもご存知だと思いますが、でこれがちょっとずつ少しずつ減っているんじゃなくて、急激にたった100年ぐらいのスパンで、日本たちもものすごい勢いで急降下しているなので、結構世界中から見てもなかなか珍しい国の一つです。で、これ、日本の課題なんです。で、一方で、皆さんのその国、皆さんの出身の国も含めてですけれども、世界の人口っていうのはどんどん増えています。2058年には日本を突破するっていうデータが出ているくらいですけれども、その中でですね、我々日本人として、日本の企業として、この減っていく人口に対して何かどうにかできないか、もちろん人口を増やすっていうことはもちろん会社ではできないんですけども、じゃあ、どういったときに経済、日本の経済の影響とかを考えて、何か我々できることはないんじゃないかっていうところで、っていうのを始めました。で、このFQICって何かっていうと、自国と国やサービス、国や地域の人たちに対して、インターネットを通じて商品やサービスを販売する。なので、国や国境にこれが時点で、EC を通じたバイブルは全部FQICという国ジャンルに含まれます。で、そこを我々は手がけていて、FQIC の技術としてはナンバーワンを持っている会社になっております。で、これですね、教員士の市場規模っていうのをどんどん拡大していくと言われていて、もともとは86兆円だったのに対して、2007年には870兆円伸びるよって言われている市場なんですね。そこを踏まえて、我々は教員士ということです。じゃあ、この日本のインサイトを助ける仲介のサービスになっているんですけど、じゃあどういう問題があるのっていうのですね、日本のサイトが自分の自社のうまくできないのかというところなんですが、この3つのハンドルがあるということです。ツールだったり、言語だったり、決済だったり、もしかしたら、経営されている方もいるんじゃないかなと思うんですけど、日本の EC サイトを買いたいと思っても、言語とか決済とかで買うことができないっていう、やっぱりハードルがあります。それを我々のプロダクトとして買わないというのができるしなんですね。で、この買いっていうプロダクトを運営しておりまして、では、海外に住んでいる方が、マイルを書いて、日本の EC サイトにアクセスをすることができるので、簡単に地獄のビルで、地獄の人が地獄のクレジットカードを使ってでも、何ものが買えるというサービスになっています。こんなものを運営させていただいています。で、当社として、FOEC に調整し続けるという、正直、大変なことも多いですし、法律が変わったりとかして、一気にやらなければいけないことが増えてくるんですが、長距離のマーケットじゃなくて、80億人、もう何しろ2億人出していくこのグローバルマーケットに挑戦することで、日本の未来を明るくしていく、そういう企業になりたいなと思って、英語力企業に挑戦し続けております。なので、今回のイベントなんかとはすごく相性がいいのかというふうに思っていて、今回会場として、運営として参加をさせていただいております。グローバルに挑戦し続けるっていうことをずっと掲げてやっておりまして、エンジニアとして優秀なエンジニアを採用しようという仕事をしておりますけれども、グローバルに挑戦したいエンジニアっていうのに、やっぱり集まってもらいたいなとしております。で、当社の中にもですね、30カ国くらいのですね、外国籍の方を在籍をしておりまして、社内としてもかなりグローバルなんですけれども、エンジニアとしてもこれでしっかり出ていくようなところに、日本の課題を感じていただいて、外に出ていくことに意味を持っていただけるように挑戦していただいているというところで、頑張って で、はい、私のプレゼンテーション終了させていただきます。本日はどうぞよろしくお願いします。
それでは、Let's move on to the first topic today. Are you ready?
May xin chào đó là bị gì được chứ? Thank you.
拍手をお願いします。
I would like to welcome everyone once more. So today's topic is building our own fully local RAG using Laravel, Olama, Postgres and React. So let's get started. So first of all, a bit of a background from mind. So my name is Vijay. I come from Nepal. So I'm currently working in Mercari Inc. as a software engineer for the past 3 years. I hope many of us use Mercari. It's a very great platform. So regarding me, I started working with PHP back in 2011 during my college days, and then I started working as a Laravel developer from 2015. And then for the past 3 years, I am working with Golang and PHP. So these are the different photos of me giving presentation about Laravel back in my hometown, where we used to organize this kind of events. So let's move to our agenda. So today's agenda will begin with what is AI, why do we need AI. So the different terminologies that is famous these days, like LLM, RAG, different use cases, and we'll be introducing to Olama, and then we'll slowly create a local RAG with Laravel, and finally we'll do a live demo. So it's 2025 and we know that AI is everywhere. So wherever we go, we see AI. So this is a image that I found in the internet. So in India, you can see that the tea, there is a small vending stall, and you can see even the tea that is powered by GPT. So you can say Chai GPT. Chai means tea and it's Chai GPT, and it runs on AI. So about AI, the hype is real. So even to sell a pen, you will have to announce that this is AI powered. Only then the next person is going to buy it. So why AI? So I think all of us know AI is transforming the industries. So it is helping a lot in the automation, personalization, and the decision making. So as a developers as well, we can leverage AI to build very many smarter apps. So recently there is a hype in the internet about the vibe coding. So that also relates with AI, and AI has been helping a lot to generate the smart apps. So but the problem is that even though there is a lot of hype, the hype often comes with some sort of complexity and dependency on the third-party APIs. And the third-party APIs or the third-party AIs, they are not in our hand. Maybe it is very expensive to get in touch. So there are many problems that they have. So that we'll be dealing with those kind of things today. So let's move on to some of the terminologies. So first terminologies that we want to cover is LLM, basically the large language models. So they are like AI models which are trained on the massive text data, maybe book, website, or anything. So they can predict and generate human-like text, for example, ChatGPT, Llama, etc. So the use cases, so they can be used in the chatbots, maybe content generation, code assistants like we are using with different tools these days, and then they are very helpful. But the challenge is that they often need some sort of fine tuning or external data to be contextually accurate, because like they are fed on some certain data and that data needs to be regularly updated. So that is a kind of a challenge. So we can simply think of challenge as some sort of super smart autocomplete tools but basically for the conversation or tasks. So LLMs, they are really great, but the problem is that they don't know everything. So in case if I or we want to use it for our particular scenario, then we need to help them. That's where RAG comes in. So RAG, what is RAG? So the full form of the RAG is retrieval augmented generation. So as I mentioned previously, the standard AI models, they have a fixed knowledge base, and then RAG allows the AI to fetch some relevant real-time data before generating the responses. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are using different AI related services in your company, but specifically you want to use it for your particular project. The project is very big, it has been running for like 10 years now, so the documentation is really huge, and you want to onboard something and you recently joined the team, then there is a big problem that if you have to find some answers to some certain questions, it is going to be very time consuming. So in that case, we could basically take some help from AI. So that's where RAG comes in. So we using RAG, we can make AI more accurate, context aware, and domain specific. So RAG is basically like we give some sort of cheat sheet to the LLM so that it looks into the relevant information before answering. So this will definitely make our life pretty easier. So the RAG overflow. So the first thing, so we'll cover these topics and we'll see the examples, but let's go to the basic workflow. So what do the RAG do? They will generate some sort of embeddings. They store the embeddings in the database, and then the user can query any question they want, and then we need to first embed the query, and then based upon that we retrieve the documents, and then basically from that the LLMs can generate the answer. This is the very basic workflow that we can see, and today we will be trying all of these basic workflow using pure Laravel. So what are the real use case scenarios of the RAG? Where can I use it? So as I explained previously, one of the very basic use case can be project documentation chatbot. As I said, if the application or your project is extremely huge and you have hundreds and hundreds of developers working in your company, in that case the knowledge base is definitely going to be high, and if we can make sure that we have some sort of RAG which can feed into the documentation, which constantly gets updated each and every day and fetches the relevant answer as per our need, that will definitely help. So one of the use case can be project documentation chatbot, maybe code style and reviews, and next thing can be customer support automation. So yeah, these are the very basic things that we can use RAG. So currently there are different AI models that we can work that we can tool and generate or create some sort of RAGs. So for example, we have OpenAI, Cloud, Mistral, Gemini, and so much. And there are also so many open source options. So we'll be exploring some of them. So the real question is, why should we go self-hosted or on the local AI instead of using third-party AI? Like we already have ChatGPT or OpenAI. We have other services from other service providers like even Twitter's or X AI and so on. So one of the very basic reason is control. So if we are using our own self-hosted LLM, which is open source, it provides some sort of control to us. We are no more dependent on the external services. So that is a good thing for us. So the next thing, one of the major reasons that the company have is that they don't want the data to be exposed. And if we are sending all of the, like as we explained, that we want to create a RAG, but we are thinking of sending all of our very private project related information to third party APIs, that's not a good thing. That basically hammers our privacy. So with cloud, with like a self-hosted one, we don't have to think about this kind of problems. And the next one is cost. Definitely, like using third party APIs is expensive thing, and if we want to use it for the like very intense scenarios, it is going to be very expensive. So local RAGs or the self-hosted LLMs or local AI can definitely help in saving the cost. And the next thing, we can basically or easily customize the models as per our need. And even if we just make sure that we need it for our offline access, we can do that because it works great without internet, and it is also very great for the remote environments. So with local AI, we are in the driver's seat, no black box checks, no hidden costs. We have this complete control. Yes, the problem is that it requires some setup, but the benefits are worth. So it is very helpful for the developers. So now let's gradually craft our own local RAG. So the tech stack. So Laravel, our beloved framework, it is very great, and we'll be using PHP, of course, and we'll be using Ollama, which basically runs the LLM locally for different generation purposes. So the next thing is Postgres. It is a database where we can store our data. We need this specifically for the purpose of not only storing the basic data, also for the vector embeddings. So the next thing, final thing, since we are creating a very simple kind of a chatbot, we will be using React along with Inertia. So let's move on to this topic. I think you might have seen this llama somewhere around in your either in Facebook or some of the social networking platforms. So Ollama. So this Ollama thing, it is a local tool to run LLMs locally on your machine, and then it supports lots of open source models like Llama, Mistral, and so much, and lots of other models, even like the DeepSeek, all of the DeepSeek R1 and other models, you can run it locally. So it is very easy to set up. It just has a basic 3 or 4 steps, and it is very lightweight. It is completely open source, and then it's very easier. So even if you don't have internet, it's not a big deal. It is 100% local. So once you download it from the internet, it's no problem. But if you don't have internet, then that's definitely a big problem. So only with a few commands, you can have a locally running LLM. So how does this work? Ollama basically exposes some of REST APIs, some of the endpoints with the REST APIs, which makes easier for our application to interact with all of the models. So that is one of the great service that Ollama has provided. We can basically send a request to generate text. Either we can generate embeddings or manage the models. So let's get started. So the first thing, to run Ollama, we can simply download it from its official website, and then either you can choose it some of the dependency managers like Brew, or you can directly download it from their website. And the next thing, after you download Ollama, you can make sure that Ollama is running by simply typing Ollama on your terminal. And then, as we explained, we need to pull some sort of LLMs, because Ollama is just a tool which runs the different LLMs. So we can basically pull some of the LLMs. For example, we are pulling Llama 3.2, and then what we can do, we can run it locally on the terminal. So we can do Ollama run Llama 3.2, and we can pass any sort of questions or whatever prompt that you want. For example, I have requested Llama to write one poem about Laravel in just 2 lines, and it wrote a very beautiful poem. So you can see that the power that we saw like 1 or 1.5 years back with OpenAI and ChatGPT, we can have that kind of thing completely running on our machine without any problem, without having to worry to pay for third-party companies like OpenAI. And as I mentioned, in this fourth image, you can see that Ollama, it basically it exposes some REST endpoints, which makes the interaction pretty easier. So in this case, we are generating some sort of query. For example, we are asking the same thing to generate a poem about Laravel in just 2 lines, and it does it. So basically, whatever we could get with OpenAI and ChatGPT, we can get it with Ollama. So Ollama has like lots of endpoints, couple of endpoints, but these are the main endpoints that we will be dealing with today. So the first one is post API/generate. It basically generates a text based on a provided prompt based upon what sort of LLM model that you are choosing, and what the prompt you are passing. And the next thing is the endpoint is API/embeddings. So this endpoint basically converts the text into the vector embeddings. So I have been mentioning this terminology embeddings like couple of times now. So let's see what these embeddings is. So let's see what they are and why they are essential. So the embedding in the like world of AI, or basically in this RAG, is basically, it is a very simple process of converting the text into the numerical vectors to measure the similarity. So we have a text, for example, cat. So we need to make sure that the open AI, like the LLMs can understand it, so that we can like convert it. So the process is known as embedding. So the text is converted into the numerical vectors, which is known as embeddings. So the embeddings turns the words into numbers that the system can understand and they can compare them. So the basic flowchart of this would be, there is a text, we will perform some sort of embedding, and then we can search the knowledge base, and the LLM can generate a response. So for example, there is a text, PHP is great, and the output would be something like some sort of array. So the next thing, since we decided to go local, we need some sort of data storage provider, or we need to store the data somewhere. We already have like different databases like MySQL or Postgres, which can store the information related to our project or our like project. So one of the challenges that we have, we also need to make sure that we can store the embedding. Whatever the text or the data we have, we need to make sure that it is properly embed and that is stored in our database. That gives the more control to us. So we have different options like ChromaDB. We also have Redis, and we have many other like paid services which are really expensive that we could choose from. But like we have decided to choose Postgres. So one of the reason why we choose Postgres is that we already have been using this, and since we are already using this with our existing application, it works very great with Laravel. And next thing, it also has, it recently like introduced support for the vector embeddings, which is known as pgvector. So the step is very simple. So with this setup, we one of the major benefit that we get is that we should not be worrying about relying on some another database or maintaining double database, because the single database, the Postgres, it can do both of the things for us. So it is one of the great win for all of the developers. So installation is very simple. If we have Postgres, we can simply install it, and the next thing that we need to do is enable the pgvector extension, which is very simple as create extension vector. So that's all. So the high level architecture of our application, or the very basic RAG that we are going to see today. So the first thing is preparation of the data set. So for example, we have some documentation of our project. So it can be either MD file, markdown file, or maybe text file. You just prepare the data set. That's all. That's the very first thing. So it can be anything. You can think of this as array, or it can be text, or anything. So the first step is to prepare the data. And the next thing, we need to generate the embeddings calling the Olama's API, because Olama's API, it exposes one REST endpoint which can transform our data into embedding, and finally we can store this in Postgres. So this is the first part of the high level architecture. So in the tutorials in the internet, you can find that many of the people will teach you that in the for the overall flow of the RAG, they will teach you that there is a document, they will basically scan it, and then on the very time they will like query and they will return back the data. But that is not a good use case on like when you are creating some sort of RAG, because looking into the data, searching every time, that's not a good idea. Instead, we could like basically create some sort of database, store the data over there, and then we can fetch the data from there. So that is the very basic thing that we can do. So the next thing, after preparation of the data, so this is the second part of the architecture. This is the where the UI comes in. So we have a UI. The user can ask a question simply by asking anything related to that documentation, and then our application will generate embedding for that particular query. Because as we mentioned, embedding and all, so our vector DB, that needs to basically perform some sort of similarity search based upon what query that we have and what data we have. So for that purpose, we need to generate the embedding for our query as well. Otherwise, it is going to be difficult or impossible to search for the similarity. So the third step would be searching the database. We are using Postgres for that. We'll be using vector similarity to find the relevant content. And then in the second last step, we'll send the whole context and also the question to Olama and ask Olama to basically answer based upon the provided prompt. And finally, the AI or our Olama will return back the answer. So that is how we can return back the answer to our user. So let's move on to the demo part. Okay, so this is my very basic Laravel application. So before that, so if you are interested, so I have one repository which is a RAG with Laravel and Olama. So it has all of the steps provided and all of the like prerequisites that it requires and how it can be installed. You can see. So I have followed the steps, like I cloned the repository, I copied the env file, I have already installed the PHP dependencies using composer install, already generated the my application key, and for this particular purpose we will be relying on the Docker. And then I need to make sure that Postgres with the vector is enabled, and then I can run the migration so that I can like basically sheet all of the data, and then finally like run other steps. So let's look into this step by step. So the first step would be like looking into the Docker compose file. So this is the basic, very basic Docker file that I have generated using Laravel shell. It is really a good tool. So this was the first time that I used Laravel shell in my like professional career. Previously, I used to write Docker on my own, but like Laravel shell is really awesome. So if you have not tried it, I would like to request you to go so. So the first thing, so there are so many things that we have in this file, but the main thing that we are interested is this one. So as you can see, we have an image from Uncanny PG Vector. So you can see there is one open source GitHub repository, so which has like 14,000 stars. So this is the mm, database that we are going to use. This is Postgres that is written. This is the like repository written on the top of the Postgres, and it has extension for the PG Vector. So for the vector embeddings. So basically, you can see all of the documentations related to it over here. So we simply like pull this particular image, and we can make sure that this is up and running with the docker command, docker compose of PGSQL. So that's the very basic thing. And next thing, I have like this application. So as you can see, since we are using inertia, since you are using a Laravel inertia with React.js, so we will like look into this, how it looks into the UI. But like first, let's see. I want to show something related to the migrations. Uh, Let me just put this mic over here. Uh, so this is my migration file. So the concept for the today is that I will basically copy some contents from the Laravel itself, and to make sure that to demo this to you, that instead of looking into some existing documentation, the AI is looking into my fed data. What will I do is I'll simply replace Laravel with cool PHP. That is going to be name of my framework, and artisan with cooler. So that's the very basic thing that I will be doing today. So the first thing that you can see, the table name is Laravel docs, and we are simply so the first thing that we are doing over is creating the vector extension uh, to enable the vector extension in the Postgres. And next thing, we have this very basic table with basic thing like ID, content, and we have timestamps. And then ultimately at the end, we are adding generating the vector embedding. This is how we do it, and that's the very basic table that we have. And the next thing that I explained previously, the part one of the overall architecture was simply reading the data and generating the embedding for that and storing into the database. So I have this text that I have prepared. For example, you can see this is what I copied from the Laravel's documentation. So this was Laravel, but I simply replaced this with cool PHP. That's all. So I will ask the question to my local rack based upon cool PHP, and it will give the answer. So for the doc sheeter, we are basically like uh, getting the data, uh, reading the file, nothing more than that, and then we are generating the embedding. So you can see there is this class called Olama service. It is some sort of a wrapper to call the uh, Olama, and then we will be basically, this exposes an endpoint called /embeddings. So what I can do is simply pass the text, and also I need to define an embedding model. So for this we have chosen nomic embed text, which supports like large number of tokens, which is especially beneficial for in this kind of scenarios where we have lots and lots of data. So this allows us to store or generate the embeddings for the large text. That's the benefit, and it returns the response, JSON response. So that's all. It's very simple, that as that you can see. And then I am simply storing it. So let's see this in action. How this works is, for example, this is my Laravel docs table. So this is the first part of the first file. So the installation part. So where I have all of the text stored in a very plain text format, and you can see this is the embedding. This is a vector data. You can see this is a complete, this is an array. So this is an vector array, that's all. So this is how we are storing the different data, and we have some sort of embeddings generated. This is the very basic table that we have. So this is the very first part of our architecture. And for the second part, so we have two things. So first one is route get slash chat, which will basically render a uh, inertia page. So for example, this is basically generating a chat slash index file, which is written in React.js. That's all. And I have also created one API endpoint for API slash chat, which will basically take the input, process it, and it will return back the streamed response. So that's all. So before moving into that part, I would like to like show one thing about the simple SSE server sent events. So a couple of weeks back, like there was one tweet from Taylor about this thing. Actually, this would have been very simple to generate the stream in Laravel, but it seemed like it was complicated, and he added a very simple documentation to it. So that's all. So let's see the demo part now. So let's move into this. So as you can see, since this is a inertia app, I have npm run dev. So let me do it once more. So npm run dev, that's all. And the next thing, I have php artisan serve running, so that I can like expose my app on 8000 port, and then I think I'm all good to go. So let's move. So localhost 8000. So this is a simple chat bot that we are talking about. But before that, I want to simply move into simple SSE part. So how our application is going to work is that, so you can see we basically streamed like these 5 hellos. So over here in this endpoint, we are looping through 0 to 5, and then we are streaming one data. So this is what we will be using today. So let's move on to this part. So this is a very basic React file, nothing more than that. But the real magical part is this part, where we are using server sent events, and where we are like listening to this particular API slash chat. And once the user submits something to this and presses the submit button, I can make sure that I can uh, read the event source. So this is what we are doing, and we are bringing like some sort of typewriter kind of effect to this. So behind the scenes, in the chat controller part, we have this controller which takes the request, and the first thing that it does, as I explained previously, it converts the query into embedding so that we can perform the similarity search. And then we have this Postgres query, where we are performing this similarity search based upon cosine. So you can see the documentation, we have lots and lots of options, but this is very simple thing. We are simply getting the data, and after getting the data, we will like since we have like multiple rows, it is possible that our context that we are seeking is not available in the single row, it might be in the multiple rows. We'll have to simply combine all of them, and then finally call the Olama service to generate the stream. So for this, the generate endpoint can be used, and the prompt is very simple. Based upon the provided context or the documentation that is fed to you, please answer the questions. Keep it short, keep it simple and concise, and the question and the context has been passed. And then if this is successful, we are simply we are simply returning back the response, but in the generator format. That's all. And the controller, it will make use of Laravel's response event stream, and it will return back the data. So let's see things in action. So in this documentation part, like I have few of the questions. Let's see. Let's hope that this works and it does not break. So let me zoom this little bit. So we have used SatCN UI and everything that Laravel 12 provides us, all of the beautiful things that we have got recently. So I have, as I mentioned, I have already like shared data, already shared the data, and the core difference is that Laravel is replaced with cool PHP and Artisan is replaced with Cooler. That's all. So if I have to ask, tell me about cool PHP in 5 lines. Since this is a local one, it takes some time. So you can see it gave some answer. So this is exactly what Laravel's documentation has. If you check in the Laravel's official documentation. So as I said, cool PHP was replaced, like Laravel was replaced with cool PHP. That's all. So you can see this thing basically is looking into our data instead of like relying on the existing LLMs or some sort of data. It is completely relying on our local fed data and returning back the data. That is the core purpose of our like today's session. So let's see few of the other examples as well. So let me ask him another question to basically scaffold cool PHP on my Mac OS in very quick 4 steps. So as a Laravel developer, all of us know that we simply need either Laravel installer or maybe HUD or something like that and do Laravel new. So this should basically replace Laravel with cool PHP and give the same answer. So let's see. Okay, so the first step is installing PHP and cool PHP installer. So this is something that Taylor introduced a couple of months back, the PHP installer, and then we can install the, either we can install like a Laravel installer globally that is replaced with cool PHP, and then we can start a new application doing this, and then we can also generate a migration doing this. So as I mentioned that we have replaced Artisan with Cooler, and then so yeah, this is basically reading from our locally fed data and returning back the data. So let's look for the final demo, like one for last prompt, and we can move ahead. So let's say, so for this demo I have not fed much data, only like basic installation part and something related to migration. So that's all. So let's say there might be scenario like I'm very new to Laravel, for example, or cool PHP, and then I want to know about migration, and my basic concern is that I write some migration code, and then I want to make sure that I'm interested to know whether or not if there is a way to check the migration works perfectly without having to run it like PHP Artisan migrate. Instead of doing this, is there any way to make sure that the migration runs? So that is my question, that is what I want to know. And then it will basically check to see if such thing is available. So you can see, yes, you can do that simply by using PHP cooler migrate dash dash pretend. This is Laravel's functionality. So yeah, that's all. That was the very basic thing. So we saw a very simple rag up and running that we did completely from local. So let's like conclude. So why does this matter? So we are PHP developers. We think that AI is for only for the Python devs, but that is not the thing. We saw that PHP also can do it with all of the modern tools like Olama and all. With simple Laravel's HTTP facade, we can do all of the amazing things. So we can see Laravel basically can do it. So as a PHP developers, we can create smarter apps. So that's all. So like we also create, so for example we have created one application like similar this is on production using all of the technologies. You can check it if you want. So finally, since we are out of time, so I'd like to thank everyone, like basically my friends, mentors, and the community leaders. So like couple of months back we met Hamasaki-san, David, and everyone, and we planned about this event, and today we are here. So thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. So you can find me on all of the social media. So I'll be sharing this link afterward. So thank you so much. So David.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting. We are a little bit short of time right now, so I will move on to the next talk. Yeah. 久々お願いします。で、発表お願いします。
はい、こんにちは。はい、映るよろしくお願いします。
はい、私は宇佐美と言います。普段は編集部という会社で働いていて、個人的には今の PHP モデルベースの開発、メンテナンスをしていたり、あと、システムに興味があって、PHP スタイルにコントリビュートしていたりします。先週のPHPxTKYというカンファレンスがあって、そこで PHP スタイルのコントリビュートについて話したりしてきました。あと、個人的にはスプリング言語が好きだったり、あと、Ruby とか動的言語が好きだったりします。さて、そうですね、これ1年前に作ったスライドなんですけれども、いろいろな日本の PHP カンファレンスで、PHP の文法とかシステムについて話をしていたりします。で、皆さん、静電気解析好きですか？大好きでしゃがないという人はこのぐらいいます。あまりない、ちょっといる、はい、ありがとうございます。はい。こういう PHP コードがあったとしましょう。このコードを一人見てどこがおかしいか、なんか、わかりますか？武田さん。このコードを見て、なんかどこがおかしいでしょうか？はい。ということで、PHP さんというツールにかけると、ここにJSON レコードに対して文字列を渡すべきなのに配列が来ている。あとは、JSON レコードした結果は文字列ではないにもかかわらず、エコーの引数として表しているというケースで、何がおかしいかというと、もしこれが JSON レコードでレコードが間違っているのかもしれないし、ここはさっき文字列配列を渡していたのが、としては最初から文字列だとするかもしれない。こういう人間が犯すような違いをPHP スターにかけると、コードの矛盾をすぐに解析してくれて、すごい嬉しいというような状況になっています。なので、我々愚かな人類がコードを書く時代というのはすでに終わっていて、もう全部ツールにかけて間違いを指摘した方がいいです。そういう時代になっています。で、次のコードを見てみましょう。このコード、どこがおかしいでしょうか？これは普通に実際に動くし、ほぼほぼエラーも起きないんですけれども、ここですね。ファイルゲットコンテンツの戻り口、これはストリング型ではなくて、ストリングとフォルスのユニオンタイプなんですね。なので、JSON レコードに関してはストリングを渡すべきなのに、フォルスかもしれないものがここに渡されている。ということで、PHP さんはそのコードに関して警告をしています。ここですね。はい。で、実際に PHP マニュアルを見るとこう書かれていて、一番この、ストリング、例えばをフォルスと書いてあります。で、これは、これ書いていて、PHP、ファイルゲットコンテンツは、何か失敗した場合に、フォルスを返すことがあり得るということを、PHP マニュアルには書いているんですけれども、そもそも、ファイルゲットコンテンツがフォルスを返すところを見たことがある人はいますか？理由としては、デプロイするときに必要なファイルをなんかコピーとかしていなくて、そのファイルが読み込めないみたいな場合があります。あとは、動的に何か関数とかがダイナミックに作るようなファイルが、何かプログラムが見せてそれが読み込めない場合もあるでしょう。そういう危険なことをするべきかというのはいろいろな議論もあると思いますが、そういうことが一応あり得て、そういう場合はファイルエグジストとかイズファイル関数を使ってチェックしてやることで、危険性を下げることは一応できます。ということで、安全に書いたバージョンがこうなりますけれども、これ先にファイルエグジストでチェックしてあげてから、失敗していただいてリターン。あとは、ファイルゲットコンテンツで、データを呼び出して、JSON レコードになっていただける。これで安全かというと、タイプシステムの上ではこれが安全かということは保証できないわけですよ。なので、PHP スタイルにこれが安全か、実行時には 99.99% 安全かもしれないんですが、静電気解析というのはこのわずかな可能性も等しく、指摘してくれるので、これをどうにかしなければいけない。ということで、PHP スタイルを使い慣れている人は、これアサートを書くんですよ。これでファイルゲットコンテンツの後に、ドルー変数がフォルスではないというアサーションを書くことで、PHP スタンはそのユニオン型、ストリングまたはフォルスというユニオン型からフォルスを除去することができます。 そうすることで、下の行では、ドル V のところで、ストリングだけになっているので、ここは、PHP さんは、特に警告をすることなく実行してくれるようになります。あとね、こういう書き方をする人もいるかもしれませんね。これで、あとは、これを PHP ドックタグをつけることで、このドル V がフォールスを返すという可能性をこう目をつぶって、PHP さんに見えないようにした上で、まあ、下の方に実行させることで、まあ、これは絶対に安全なコードだと言い聞かせることができます。で、そもそもファイルゲットコンテンツ、フォールス返すことあり得るのでしょうかと。まあ、実際にはこのファイルゲットコンテンツのプログラムのエラーハンドラーがどう設定されているかに、印象するんですね。で、この PHP プレイグラウンドというのがあるんですけれども、実際にこれで、このプレイグラウンドでは、そもそも、ファイルシステムが実装されているので、どのファイルにアクセスしようとしてもエラーになるんですけれども、ファイルゲットコンテンツでその失敗するということだけは再現できるので、これで見てみると、ワーニングでこのノンユージスト JSON というファイルがないという警告が出た上で、バーランプにはフォールスプレがタイムアウトしています。これはエラーハンドラーが何も設定されていない状態ですね。はい。で、次にエラーレポーティングの、関数。これで、全てのエラーを無視させることができるので、これをするとその時にエラーも出力されることなく、フォールスプレがタイムアウトですね。はい。あと、このエラーエクセプションというクラスがあります。PHP マニュアルのこのページには、下の方にこのエラーハンドラーの設定が書かれています。これで、エクセプションエラーハンドラーという関数を定義して、セットエラーハンドラーに出してあげると、エラーが発生したときに、どのような処理をするかというのを、関数で設定できます。で、エラーエクセプションのページに書いてあるのは、この例外、エラーをエラーハンドラーで補足したエラーをエラーエクセプションという例外に、統一させることができます。これをすることで、PHP のランタイムには、そのエラーとか、あと、エクセプションという2種類のその失敗の、現象があるので、それを、エクセプション例外だけに統一させることができます。なので、基本的にはこれを実行した方がいいです。これを設定した方がコードとしては使いやすくなるし、あと、ララベルとか普通のフレームワークではこれ設定になっていると思うんですけれども、そうすることで、実際にはその、フォールスを返すということを、ここで、スロー入をさせることで、エラーが発生したときにフォールスが返さなくすることができます。なので、これがそのエラーハンドラーを設定した状態ですね。ここで、ハンドラーを設定した上で、ファイルゲットコンテンツを呼び出すと、このバーダンプ、フォールスというのがなくなっていて、もうフェイタルエラーでキャッチされていないエラーエクセプションが、発生して終了しています。なので、状況整理しましょう。ファイルゲットコンテンツ、もしアプリケーションでエラーレポーティング0で設定されていれば、そのファイルゲットコンテンツ関数はストリングとフォールスのどちらかだけを返す可能性、どちらも返す可能性がある。で、普通のフレームワークを使っている場合は、基本的にはそのエラーハンドラーを設定していて、エラーエクセプションとか、フレームワーク独自の例外クラスかもしれないですが、その例外に変換しているので、これを使っていることで、ファイルゲットコンテンツが、フォールスを返すということは絶対になくなる。つまり、すべての場合においてストリングファイルという、状況にすることができます。で、一般的な PHP のアプリケーションで、そのフレームワークの初期化スクリプトとかを読み込んだ上で実行していれば、このファイルゲットコンテンツがフォールスという可能性がないにもかかわらず、毎回このアサンションの部分が、アットバーをつけて、エラーを、握りつぶさなければいけないので、PHP スタンは、言ってることは楽しいんですけど、実際の現実の PHP を実行する環境には接していないということができます。なので、我々はこのアサート、無駄なアサーションを強いられています。ということで、本題に入りましょう。慈悲深いユニオンという言葉、皆さん聞いたことはないと思うんですけれども、これはPHP スタン、多分知ってる限りは PHP スタンだけが実装している、隠されたことです。で、GitHub で PHP スタンのリポジトリを検索すると、何箇所かで使われています。一番上がファンクションマップというやつで、すべての関数に対してその実行結果が、 成功するか実行した結果が、戻り値の方として返す方と、あとちょっと見にくいんですが、右側の方に、はい、ここに戻り値の方が書かれていて、こちらにパラメータの方が書かれています。なので、PHP スタンドは関数の呼び出しに対して、このファンクションマップと照合することで、呼び出し結果の型を、得ることができます。タイプリゾルバーというクラスがあって、これはPHP スタンド、PHP ドックのコメントを、パースして、PHP スタンドの型として、処理するためのパーサーというか、パーサーは別にあるんですけれども、PHP スタンドの型に変換する部分です。あと、下はテストコードですね。結局これ何なんだという話なんですけれども、ドキュメントがなくてですね、このベルボレットユニオンのドックを書いてくれという、PHP さんのディスカッションもあるんですけれども、これは、普通のユーザーが使うものなので、特にドキュメンテーションする必要はないということを、このオンドレイという PHP さんの作者が言っていて、実際に、言っているんですけども、実際にどんな使い方をしているのか見ていきましょう。で、こういう、ファイル、パスワードハッシュ関数というものがあります。これは、今の PHP マニュアルにはストリングを返すと言っているんですけれども、PHP8 以前は、失敗するときにフォルスを返していたんです。なので、この失敗、どういう場合に失敗するかというと、このアルゴリズムとして、期待しているものと違うアルゴリズムを渡した場合に失敗することができる。つまり、正しい呼び出しをしていれば絶対にストリングしか返さないという関数です。で、次にこの、サブストリングという関数。これも、PHP8 以前は、フォルスを返すことがあったと書かれています。あと、このデートサムインフォ。これも、失敗した場合にフォルスを返すと言っていますが、PHP8 から、アレイだけを返せるようになります。で、これは何なのかというと、何か異常事態が起こったときにフォルスを返すようなことがある。そんな関数にこの異常事態が起こったときにフォルスを返すようなものが、PHP にはあります。で、PHP には今は、特に PHP7 系からは標準関数が、エクセプションを投げるようになりましたけれども、それ以前はこのエラーというものしかなくて、すごい使いにくかったものだったので、この失敗した場合にはフォルスが返るとか、そういうことが必要でした。で、こういう関数、特に正しい呼び出しをしていれば絶対にフォルスが返らない、絶対に失敗しないようなものに対して、すべてモデル値を一度変数で受けて、フォルスではないということをチェックするのはナンセンスなので、そういうものは、PHP スタンのそのファンクションマップでただのユニオンではなくて、ベネボレントユニオンという形でマークしてあげることで、一般ユーザーが使うときに、あるいは関数の呼び出し結果を他の関数に渡したり、直接値を取り出したりするときに、ランタイムチェックをしなくてもすぐにやっています。ということで、実際にどういう使い方ができるかということですね。で、PHP スタンドはオンラインでサンドボックスがあるので、ここに PHP のコードを書くことで、PHP スタンド警告を見ることができます。で、上の部分、これは、文字列またはフォルスを返すような関数。型定義上はストリングまたはフォルスを返すということにしていますが、実際には文字列だけを返しています。で、次に、このベルモレント STR はフォルスという関数。これも、型宣言ではストリングまたはフォルスを返すんですけれども、ベルモレントということでラップしています。で、これを STR 連関数と渡します。STR 連は当然文字列のバイト帳を計算するものなので、文字列しか渡すべきではないので、9行目、ここでは文字列関数に対してフォルスかもしれないものを渡しているのでエラーになります。一方で下のベネボレント STR はフォルス、この呼び出しは STR 連に渡しても、PHP さんはエラーを出していません。はい、で、結局これは何なのかというと、標準関数がラップすることで、普通の PHP コードを書くときにわざわざ、型チェックをしなくても使いやすくするようなので、実際にこれは、タイプサウンドネス 形健全性を下げて PHP の実用性を取っているようなものなので、要は自分の足を打っているようなものですね。なので、きちんと使わないと、危険なんですけれども、こういう場合は一応正当化できるかなと思います。ゲットコンテンツという関数を作ってあげて、ここでベネボレントでラップしてあげます。そうすると、普通のファイルゲットコンテンツを JSON デコードに渡してあげるとエラーになりますが、この場合は、ファイル JSON デコードに渡しても、エラーが起きないようになります。なんですけども、実際にこれを使う必要があるかというと、皆さんは使わない方がいいと思います。っていうのは、きちんとそのエラーハンドリングとか値のハンドリングをした上で例外に変換してあげた方が、実際に安全なコードになりやすいので、もしレガシーコードでその型チェックとかを変更しにくいようなものがあれば、これを使う価値がもしかしたらあるかもしれません。ただ、新しく作るようなメソッドでは、きちんと例外をスローしてあげるようにしてあげる方が、安全なことになると思います。あとはそうですね、例外というもの自体がJava のチェック、検査例外みたいなものに似てるので、そういうのをきちんとアットスローズタグをつけて、ユーザーにハンドリングをさせるような習慣をルールとしてつけた方がいいと思います。PHP スターはアットスローズのサポートをしていますので、それをきちんと、定義することで、ハンドリングさせることができます。あとは、ボイラープレートを減らすにはどうすればいいかということで、セーフ PHP というライブラリがあります。これは失敗するかもしれないすべての PHP 関数に対するラッパーを定義してくれていて、書いてありますけど、このファイルゲットコンテンツとか JSON レコードのラッパーで、フォルスが返ってこないようなバージョンを提供してくれています。なので、普通のトランスフィギュレーションするときは、セーフ PHP に置き換えてあげることで、エラーが発生しない、あるいはその例外に変換された状態で、実行するようなことができます。はい。例としていろいろ出ています。普通の PHP だとここでフォルスのチェックをして、エクセプションをスローして、というのを複数やらなきゃいけない。JSON の場合は JSON ラストエラーという関数でエラーチェックができるので、これを使ってエラー、実行するということが前の PHP だと必要だったりしましたけど、そういうのをセーフ PHP を使うことで煩わしさを避けることができます。そういった使い方としては、ファイルの上の方に use ファイルセーフバックスラッシュ関数名と書くことで、その下で使うコードではすごくシンプル。なおかつ、PHP スターみたいな形に怒られないように使うことができます。実装としてはすごいシンプルなファイルについて、ラストエラーを取得して、それによって、関数エラーをまず、クリアしてから実行して、フォルスが返ってきたら例外を投げる。そうなければ、結果を変える。ファイルゲットコンテンツで得た値を示すという実装になっています。で、これをすることで、セーフ PHP ではファイルシステムエクセプションという例外を定義しているので、これを使っているところで、ファイル読み込みに失敗するかもしれないということを、PHP ストーブとかは検出することができるので、これをきちんとハンドリングするような習慣をユーザーにつけることもできます。あとは、そうですね、PHP スタンドのスローズタグのサポートもあるので、これを活用してください。という感じで、皆さんは PHP スタンドを使わないで、ベターな PHP を書いていきましょうということで、ご清聴ありがとうございました。資料書を非常になっているので、どういったスタッフしてありがとうございます。最後、ちょっと、ララベルコーチングにお酒入れるからね。ララベル内容について発表します。はい、タッチお願いします。
Yeah, hey everybody, thanks for coming today. My name is Ryuta Hansaki. I'm a software engineer at Laravel, and I'm also the organizer of this PHPxTKY Meetup. And as you know, Laravel is one of the most popular web application frameworks out there. But did you know that Laravel is also a company? So when I say I'm working for Laravel, a lot of people get confused. Like, what are you talking about? Laravel is a framework. What what do you mean by working for Laravel? So actually, the Laravel is a company that develops and maintains the Laravel framework itself, and we also have some products. Laravel also develops products like Laravel Force, Laravel Cloud, and Laravel Networks. And myself, I'm part of Laravel's Australia Pacific team. And my team has been working on building a new product called Laravel Network. So Network is a web application observability tool specifically designed for Laravel applications. So today I'm going to be showing some of the core features of Laravel Network and how to install it into your existing Laravel applications and how it works. You might see if I have some time. So let's jump into the demo. So this is Laravel Network code. But it is not an open source project. It's a solid state product where you can install Network package into your Laravel application, and you can see all your applications metrics in this dashboard. So here you can have multiple organizations and multiple. I mean, each organization can have multiple applications. And each application has multiple environments, such as staging or production. So in this demo, I'm going to use Skywatch application production environment. Skywatch production. Okay. So this is the dashboard, and it gives you a high-level overview of your application health. And you can see the number of requests based on the status code 200, 400, 500 status code, and you can also see the duration, average duration, and P95 duration. P95 is in 95 percentile duration, which means that 95% of your requests are answered on this number. You can also see some exceptions that occur in the application and some slow rounds that are open threshold. You can also see the Java attempts, process, release, value. You can see the duration as well, and some of the server stats, CPU, memory usage. And you can see the users that are making requests to this application, and yeah, the number of authenticated versus unauthenticated users. So this is the high-level overview of the application, and you can see more detailed information about your application. So let's go to the request here. So this is the this gives you information on how so all the requests. You can see the same stats here as you saw in the dashboard. And you can see all of the routes in your Laravel application here. So for each route, you can see the number of requests come for each status code, 200, 400, 500, the total count as well, average and P95 for each route. They can also sort by those numbers. And if I go to one of the routes here, we can go to this get destination route. So you can see the scoped down version of the view just for this route. So those requests and durations are numbers just for this slash destination route. And then you can also see the individual requests made to this route. And you can filter by the average, the request over the average or P95. So let's look at request here. So this is the individual request details. And you can see all of the details about this request, such as minutes or response times and duration, server that process this request, and how many queries this request runs, and stuff like that. You can also see the user that made the request, that made this request. And here's the timeline view where you can see what happened in this request. You can see there's a bootstrap of the application, and you can see that there's the database query in the middleware layer. And there are some cache events and database queries and controller. And here you can see there's a cache miss event. So this cache copy of destination didn't hit. That's why we had to run this slow database query, which took 7 seconds. So this is the reason why this specific request is slow, and we had to run to the cache. So if I go back to this destinations here, and let's look at one of the first requests here. So as you can see in this example, cache hit, and we didn't have to run the slow query. So that's why, again, it's fast. Okay, let's go back to the request page. Okay, and let's look at this post flights. And then just look at one, top one. And this is the post endpoint. And you can see that, so again, you can see the queries and all those stuff. And here in the control, this control will dispatch the job to the queue, process flight. And you can also see the job detail in the same timeline view, because the request and jobs share the same trace ID. So you can see the end-to-end activity that happened with this request, including the background jobs. So in this process flight job, there are 3 attempts: attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, and in this job, there's this there is query section happening here. Okay, so this is how you can see all of the details in your request in the timeline view, and you can see pretty much the same information for other applications entry points such as jobs, person commands, or scheduling tasks. So if you go to one of the jobs, so you can see the number of process, release, failure count for each job. If I go to this job, you can see each individual attempt here. And you can also see the same view for this particular route. And you can also see where this job was dispatched from. Okay, so there's some more stuff. If I go to the queries page, you can see all of the database queries happening in your application. So the number of total duration, average duration, stuff like that. If I go to this specific query, a select stuff from tickets where user ID is something, and these are the individual execution of the queries. And you can see where this query came from. And when you click on this request, you can see that this query came from this controller. Then, as you can see, this is a 1+1 problem. So this easily you can identify those in+1 problem language. Okay, so language also provides logs. Language package, Gotanda package provides log driver, so you can specify your Laravel application's log driver to Nightwatch, and all of your applications log goes to Nightwatch. So it's kind of like reverse internet scrolling, where you can see the latest log at the bottom, and you can scroll from bottom to top to see all the logs. It's kind of like actual log file. And you can also see where these logs come from some kind of request. And you can also see the log level. And if I go to this emergency log, click on request, you can see where this log comes from. You can also see other logs that are logged in this particular request. Okay, so let's jump onto issues. So that was also provide error tracking. So whenever an exception happens in the application, that was automatically create an issue and notifies you by email or Slack or whatever. And let's look at the first exception here. So you can see the stack trace of your exception and the first thing, last thing, and then you can also see the recent occurrences here. You can mute this issue if you don't want to fix it, and you can resolve it. You can also leave some comments about this issue. And if you click on request in one of the recent occurrences, it gives you takes you to the original request that was this exception. So with this, you can easily find out where the exception happened for this issue. And if I go to slow route issue, so you basically configure the threshold of your application. You can configure a global threshold or specific threshold. So in this example, this issue means that this get flight ID endpoint exceeded 1 second threshold, and you can see the actual recent occurrences here. So these are kind of slow routes. Yeah, you can also, of course, you can see the details of this request. Okay, so one last thing I'd like to show here is the users section. So you can see all the users that makes a request to your application. You can see the summary of each user, like top routes, user, feed, slow routes, and individual requests, where you can see that it's kind of like an activity of this specific user. So I think it's also helpful for us as well. Okay, so this is the demo, and how you can install this to your application. So here, if I create a new application, I'm going to just probably Tokyo, and specify environment name. For now, we only use West region, but we're going to have more regions later. And what you need to do is to install the Nightwatch composer package into your Laravel application, and add this Nightwatch token environment variable. And if you want to send your logs to Nightwatch, set the log channel to Nightwatch, and then this PHPxTKY March agent command, so that you can capture all the information of your Laravel application and send it to Nightwatch backend. Okay, so this is pretty simple to install, and let me just quickly talk about how it works behind the scenes. So this is the high-level overview of everything in Nightwatch, and on the left-hand side, this is in your Laravel application. It might be running in multiple Laravel applications, sorry, multiple servers, and in each server you install the Nightwatch package and run agent process, and so every request, or job, language package collects the performance metrics and send it to this local agent process, and the agent process batches up the data and send it to language ingest infrastructure. There's some data processing here. The data ends up in the ClickHouse database, which is an analytical database we are using. You can see the data in the Nightwatch application. Let's zoom into a lot of the application here. So you might be running your application in multiple servers, and in this server, there's some web processes and queue workers and schedulers, commands, and whatnot. So every time the Laravel application receives a request, the language package hooks into Laravel's various events, such as query executed and stuff like that, collect the performance metrics, and after sending the request response back to the user, it sends the data to the local agent process, some language agent, and agent batches buffers the data for 10 seconds or until it reaches the 8 megabyte threshold, whichever comes first. Then the agent uses the data and send it to the infrastructure. So this is how it works. And we're still working on it. We just started early access early this year. One of the early access customers here. And if you want to try this out first, we can sign up for early access .nightwatch.com, and we're aiming to publicly launch it sometime in May. And that's all I have today. Thank you very much. And today we've got some gifts from the Laravel team. We've got some hats and t-shirts. Actually, today's drink and food are sponsored by Laravel team as well. Some pizzas should be coming soon, I think. Yeah, so I think you got the card with the QR code. And if you look at the back of the paper, you can find the number. So we'll use that number for the lucky draw for the gift. So we're going to give the five person some gifts. So I'm going to open my Tinker well here, and I need a random number.
Does anyone need? Does anyone missing the QR code?
So we got numbers between 1 to 16. So I'm going to run this function, the very popular PHP function, 5 times. So first, 36. Oh, congrats.
Oh.
21, and then we got 25%. Next. You can come in, choose what you want. We've got some PHP and Laravel hats and some t-shirt. Which size do you want? This is, I think there's congrats. Okay, next. 12. Who's 12? Not 12. Okay, much higher. 18. T-shirts. Yeah, good. Okay. We've got two more. So I got a call from pizza delivery. Hi. Hi. Sorry, it's right. Okay, so we've got 27, 22. Okay, congrats. Thank you. Last one. 26.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we've got some more t-shirts, but I'll keep this for the next one. So if you want to get those things, please come next time. Okay, I think this is all we have today. And I will pass it to David.
Yeah. Thanks to all the speakers and everybody that helped organizing. And thanks again to BEENOS for the space. So, as we all have just witnessed, we have pizza coming up, and we also have drinks. But before we move on to the networking part of this event, I would like to take a picture with everybody in this room. So probably we'll need to make a little bit of space, open up the space over there. And, yeah. And after that, we are off to the networking. Yeah, thanks so much for coming. And please enjoy the food and the drinks. Talk to each other, connect with each other, follow each other on social media.